Okay, put a finger down if when you were in middle school and you started your period, your friend told you that you could pee while you had your tampon in, and what she really meant was that you could go to the bathroom and pee and you didn't have to take your tampon out, but you thought that she meant that it held so much that you could just pee and you didn't have to actually go to the bathroom. So you were sitting in class and you had to go to the bathroom, so you decided it was a good idea to try while you were in class, and you peed your pants, and then you grabbed your water bottle and took off the lid and spilled it all over your lap on accident because you didn't want anybody to think that you peed your pants. And so you texted your mom and you told her that you peed your pants, and she didn't believe you, so you went to the office and said that you spilled water all over your pants even though you actually peed your pants, and they told you that you couldn't go home because it was just water, and they gave you pants from the lost and found. And then when you got back to class, the guy, one of the guys that was in the class was like, hey, those are my pants from gym class, I thought I lost them, but I think those are mine, and made you check the tag, and it had his initials on it.
Put a finger down if you had the biggest crush on your guy best friend in high school, and one day he logged into his Twitter on your iPad and he forgot to log it out when he gave it back to you. So of course you didn't log it out, you left it logged in so you could read all his messages anytime you wanted. And then one day he was at a party and he called you to come pick him up because he was too drunk to drive home. Well, you couldn't go get him because your parents were really strict and never let you leave the house, especially to pick up a boy in the middle of the night. So you called him another ride, but you went on his Twitter and you messaged yourself from his Twitter and confessed his love for you. And then in the morning, when he was sober, he thought he sent that message to you and he was really confused, and you just played along with it like you were super confused too, and you never told him that you actually sent that message, and then you convinced him that he loved you.
Put a finger down if when you were in high school you picked up your younger sister from middle school like you always do, but this day she was screaming in pain like you thought she was actually dying, so you freaked out and you called your mom, who told you to take her to her work so she could take her to the hospital. So you were going 100 miles an hour down the road just to try to get your sister to your mom before she died in the back seat of your car. And then your parents ended up taking her to the hospital where they figured out she had kidney stones. And there were two different nurses who were watching over your sister who were supposed to be working together, but your parents heard them get in a fight in the hallway, so the nurses stopped talking to each other and didn't know that each nurse kept coming in without the other one knowing, giving your sister more morphine. And your dad said, hey, don't you think that's enough morphine? And one of the nurses said, no, we've been keeping track of the morphine levels, don't worry about it. And then your mom and dad are talking in the room and they notice your sister's leg fall off the bed, and they look at her and she's bright blue, and it turns out that the two nurses had overdosed her on morphine, so they had to do a crash cart to bring her back to life, and they figured out she had been dead for 10 minutes because of this overdose on morphine. And then the hospital tried to charge your parents because they killed your sister.
Put a finger down if you have this irrational fear of going number 2 in public restrooms. And when you were in middle school, your days were so long because you did track practice after school, so that by the time you got home, the feeling of having to poop would have gone away. And then one day you were in school having a regular day and you got really bad stomach pains, really, really, really bad. And you asked to go to the nurse, and you go to the nurse, and obviously she does nothing but gives you saltine crackers, asks you to lay down for a little bit, and then sends you back to class. And then you're back in class and you're hunched over in the fetal position on the floor, and the art teacher sends you back to the nurse, and then the nurse is like, well, maybe I should call your parents. So they call your parents, and your mom comes and picks you up, and you're home for a couple hours and you still have stomach pains. So then your mom's like, well, maybe it's his appendix, let's take him to the hospital. So you go to the hospital and you get an MRI, a CT, or whatever the fuck they give you, and they realize that, nope, your appendix is fine, but what it is that you have shit almost touching your heart. And if you did not get there when you did, you probably would have died. And for the next 2 weeks, every time you would say something, your parent would say, oh, Brandon, shut up, you're so full of shit, literally.
All right, put a finger down if when you were 13 years old, you went to your friend's birthday party and it was a giant barbecue. And at the giant barbecue, you kept seeing a guy in a Hawaiian shirt and he was chewing on a hot dog, like continuously chewing on a hot dog. And you looked at your friend and you go, who is that guy? And he says, I don't know, I think he's an uncle or something. So you just kind of forget about him. Well, then you end up staying the night at your friend's house and it's like 2 a.m, and you look at your friend and he looks at you and he goes, hey, do you want to go get some chocolate cake? And you're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So then you follow him out to the kitchen, and as you're about to reach the kitchen, he starts screaming, and you're like, why is he screaming? So you look at the couch in the living room and the hot dog guy is just sitting there smiling, and he's continuously chewing on a hot dog still, and he looks at you and goes, hey guys, what's up? As he's chewing this hot dog. So you freak out and run to your friend's parents' bedroom, and in the bedroom you wake up his dad and take him out to the couch, and there's nobody there on the couch. And so he goes, well, why don't you describe the guy to me? So he did, and he just looks at us all in a panic and goes, there's no hot dog guy, that doesn't exist. And he just goes back to his room. So then you sit there and you wonder what just happened. Oh yeah, and then you end up seeing him a couple years later, like for a part 2.
Put a finger down if you went to the beach with your parents when you were 7 years old and you really wanted some chocolate ice cream because it was a really hot day, so you finally convinced your parents for 30 minutes to get you some chocolate icing from the Ben & Jerry's across the street. So you walk to the Ben & Jerry's across the street, you walk inside, you realize it's the 30-minute line, you're so sad, and then your parents say, it's okay, we'll still wait with you, and you go, okay, so you're really excited. So you get to the front of the line, you're so excited that you wanted to lean over the counter to see your chocolate ice cream that you wanted so very badly. Then you look and realize that the topping case where they keep all the toppings is on the same counter that you're leaning on. You're leaning just a little bit too far, so far that the whole entire toppings case filled with 30 different toppings falls on the ground, shatters, toppings everywhere. You can't even clean it up. It's so bad they have to call in for extra help. You leave the ice cream store, humiliated, so sad, crying your eyes out, didn't even get your chocolate ice cream. Then you move 13 states away. Then you move back 13 states back, and you decide to go to the same Ben & Jerry's 12 years later, and you see that the layout of the whole entire Ben & Jerry's has changed. The toppings aren't in the same place anymore, and you ask them why, and they said, legend has it 12 years ago, some girl came here and destroyed the whole entire store.
Put a finger down if while in college during your sophomore year you were accidentally involved in an LAPD sting operation because your apartment complex got robbed and your apartment got broken into, and the guy who broke into your apartment stole your wallet and then used your ID to find you on Instagram and ask you out on a date. And so then once you were sure it was the guy who broke into your apartment, you called the police, and the police were like, oh my god, this is so good, go on the date. And you were like, what? And then they were like, no, do it, just trust us. And so then you arranged an entire sting operation with them where you'd give them a tip off so that they could come and arrest him. And so then he got arrested right in front of you and went to jail. And so you called your mom thinking she would be so proud, and she was like, oh my god, he knows where you live, he knows what you look like, and he knows how to break into your apartment, you're gonna get murdered. And you were like, oh my god, no mom, it's fine, he'll be in jail. But then after 2 days he posted bail and immediately DM'd you on Instagram.
Put a finger down if one time in college, freshman year, you gave a boy a note in astronomy class that said, are those space pants because your ass is out of this world? And then you put down your Snapchat username and your Instagram username. And then when you gave it to him, you said, can you do me a favor? And he said, sure. And then you said, can you open this note? But can you open this note when I'm gone? He said, sure. And then you leave and you thought, okay, what's the worst that can happen? He doesn't add me because I'm uglier as a girlfriend. And then all of a sudden a couple hours pass by and one guy follows you on Instagram and another and then another. And about 15 to 20 guys following you on Instagram. You check all their bios and they're all in the same fraternity. So then you realize that this guy sent a picture of this note into his fraternity group message and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a clown. So then you go to chapter that night and one of your sisters tells you that this boy is a very well-known boy in his fraternity and that he has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend is actually Miss Illinois or Miss Indiana. I'm not really sure. She's just drop dead gorgeous. So then you're really, really embarrassed, and so then you skip the next 2 classes after that and you never want to see him again, and you skip all of his tailgates and everything. Me.
Put a finger down if in 2015 you followed your favorite band on tour and got your favorite song by them tattooed in the lead singer's handwriting. Then you showed the lead singer your tattoo and he grabs your arm and he draws a 7 on your arm and you go, what's that? And he goes, it's a song that might be on the next album. You might want to get it tattooed on you. So you go home and you get it tattooed on you, and the next time you see him, he walks up to you and goes, hey 7, I've been telling everyone on tour I met a girl named 7 and I wrote a song about her that's going to be on the next album. Then you tweet about the song and everyone doesn't believe you that it exists. Then 4 weeks later, he releases a song called 7 and everyone starts commenting on your Instagram and your Tumblr asking you if you're the girl 7's about, if you're dating him, and you just go along with it because you don't want to start drama. And then after a little while, you tell everyone it was just an inside joke between you two. And then a year later, after seeing them 32 times on tour, you realize that their music is shit and you get all their tattoos covered up and you never listen to them again.
Okay, put a finger down if you have an absolutely mega thigh-slapping horse cock. Okay. Now put a finger down if your absolutely mega thigh-slapping horse cock requires so much blood and energy that you lack the strength to put a finger down. Okay, now put a finger down if you like Fortnite.
Put a finger down if when you were 13 you tried to sell your soul to the devil by praying to him because your super Catholic teacher said that was how it worked and you could get possessed and you wanted to do it, so you did. But because you were 13, for some unknown reason, you decided to ask the devil for a wonderful sex dream every night in exchange for your soul. And you tried to take it back and sell your soul for fame instead, but you're not sure if it worked, and now you're scared because every night since then you've had a sex dream and you don't fully know if it's just because you're horny or if the devil is real and he owns your soul.
Put a finger down if when you were 12 years old, you slept over at your best friend's house and you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and realized that you wet the bed and you completely drenched their brand new air mattress. So what do? You go into the bathroom and you start bawling your eyes out and you don't know what to do. So then you pull out your red flip phone and you call your mom, and she's no help because it's 4 o'clock in the morning and she's really cranky that you woke her up. So she says, deal with it on your own, and she hangs up on you. And then you take all their toilet paper and you go into his room and you try and blot down the air mattress, but then you run out of toilet paper, so you have to go back into the bathroom and you're still crying your eyes out, but you have to be really quiet because you can't wake up your friend who's sleeping in the room. And then you take all of your pee-stained PJs off and you put them in the bathtub and you change into a towel, so now you're naked and you have nothing to do, and you contemplate just running away, but you have no idea where you are because you're only a 12-year-old and you have no idea what to do. So then you have to cry your way across the hallway to his parents' room and you have to go wake up his father, and you're in the room and you're like, Mr. Thorne, Mr. Thorne, but he's not waking up, but you don't want to be too loud with your crying because you don't want to wake everyone up, so then you have to hit him a little bit harder, Mr. Thorne, but he's not waking up, and when he wakes up finally you have to tell him, I wet the bed. And that's why you don't like sleepovers.